Ah yes, when is an SUV not an SUV, but a coupe? Perhaps this 2026 Genesis GV80 Coupe can tell us all about it. Are you game? Come aboard with me and we'll find out about this amazing stylistic alteration. Pleased to note the beautiful black accents on our 2026 Genesis GV80 Coupe, also known as the 3.5T E-SC MHEV Black all-wheel drive. Mild hybrid is what the MHEV stuff stands for. But anyway, this is a really interesting take on the GV80 that I believe it was last year that Genesis first presented this to the world. But it's a really interesting thing because the only thing that immediately comes to mind to me is what I would consider to be a direct competitor, which is the BMW X6, which is also a big old coupe that's like been steroided up to be much larger and much roomier. And yet, look at the ground clearance on this thing. It does have an electronically variable suspension system on it, but I don't think it has a straight lift system on it, but it has plenty of ground clearance to do a little bit of off-roading and especially get into unimproved roads like, you know, your forest trails and driveways that are, well, unimproved and all that kind of thing. But anyway, it is once again, a beautifully styled Lexus. I actually like this a little bit more in the styling department compared to the GV80 SUV because the GV80 is a little more squared off at the stern end and has more room in the back and actually has the facilitation so you can put a third row in it. And on certain models you can get a third row, so more passenger accommodations. But this is a two-row coupe SUV. See, we're starting to blend our genres into all kinds of beautiful things. But I really like the styling of this because it seems a little bit more balanced. You can tell there is a substantial cargo area back there, no question about that. But at the same time, it is a much more svelte, interesting looking vehicle. It almost looks like a wagon, but not quite. And the black trim level, which is available and present in front of you, in front of our, this is like the top of the line pretty much, because it's not only got a twin turbocharged V6 engine, it also has an electric supercharger. It puts out an outrageous amount of horsepower. Outrageous, I tell you. It's over 400 horsepower. We'll get into that in detail very shortly, but as you can see, it's also a very long car, and it has a 116.3 inch wheelbase. So you got plenty of room for your rear passengers. You also have a lot of stability from that long wheelbase. And it's a big, luxurious looking car because, well, that's what it is. It's a big, luxurious car. And as you can tell, we're in some pretty unpleasant weather, and yet this paint job on it, which is just, what, do they have a name for this paint job? Let's see, I'm looking. Yeah, I think it does. I'll find it. But it really glows. It really stands out. It's almost like a pearl white. And with the black accents, is a really beautiful car. But this is one of Genesis' more, what I would call an overall versatile hot rod / luxury vehicle, because it does have a lot of room in the back for cargo. It has an excellent all-wheel drive system. It even has very good all-season Michelin tires on it. But first, as we always do, let's take a look at that engine compartment, because it is a jewel itself, and it does have a mild hybrid system. that comes in very handy with all kinds of things, especially starting the engine from a stop if you have the auto stop on to conserve fuel. And it does all kinds of interesting things. It's just a general supplement to the amazingly powerful twin turbo V6 supercharged engine. Shall we look? Let's look. Tis a true mainstay of the Genesis upscale line. This beautiful little 3.5 liter V6 engine with twin turbochargers and electronic supercharging. And as you can see, there's a beautiful symmetry to this engine, which is clearly defined by, we have an air supply coming on each side to each cylinder bank. The V6 is in fact mounted longitudinally, so you have 3 cylinders over here and 3 cylinders over here, and then a turbocharger below those cylinders coming out of the exhaust manifold, of course. So, and then you have, which is really interesting, so you have your exhaust on either side there, your turbochargers, then they go up through an intercooler, and here is where our air supply ultimately comes. It looks to me like this is part of the cooling apparatus system. But what we have here is a very interesting fuel injection system in that it has both a gasoline direct injection and it also has multi-port fuel injection, like Toyotas and a few other people have been doing for a while now. And that has the advantages of both gasoline direct injection and multi-port fuel injection. So you have, when you have both systems, first of all, it can tend to keep the interior runners of your intake system cleaner, because the direct injection goes directly into the cylinder, and then the multi-point comes directly into the top through the valves into the cylinder, you see. There's no valves involved with your gasoline direct injection, but the multi-port does come through those valves, and in the process also keeps the carbon level lower when everything's working the way it should be. But that is a real, yes, it adds some complexity, but at the same time, it also eliminates a few problems, in addition to being overall a great way of enhancing both fuel economy and power, because there are times that multi-point is better than gasoline direct injection and vice versa. So when you have both systems, they switch back and forth and work together in order to ensure maximum efficiency and maximum power. Now, in here, right down in here, is our electronic supercharger. So that takes and compresses the air using an electric motor, basically. So that increases the amount of airflow into the system. So this is why you get 3.5 liters, and yet we have 409 horsepower at 5,800 RPM peak. Wow, that's a lot of horsepower. But what about torque? Well, how about 405 pounds of feet between 1,300 RPM and 4,500 RPM. So that is a lot of output from a little 3.5 liter engine. And this engine has been with Genesis for quite a while, and they're always tweaking it, improving it, as you do when you're a manufacturer. And it's also delightfully kind of straightforward. It sits in this engine bay in such a way that I think it's pretty easy to get to most things you might have to get to at some point. I really admire that about this engine, because it seems to have plenty of breathing room. You look down in here, you can see where our turbocharging is down in there. And here's our battery, by the way, over here, our 12-volt battery. We also have I believe, a lithium-ion battery that supplements the mild hybrid system, you know. All these things work in cahoots. There's much cahooting going on in this engine with its different fuel injections and all kinds of things. But it's a beautiful thing to behold, this engine, and I love the fact that in typical luxury car fashion, Genesis has put this in here and really cleaned up the engine bay, so it is a very, very impressive unit. I believe under here and under here, yes, these are air filters. So each cylinder bank gets its own air filter, its own air supply, and then its own everything. So you got a completely balanced, if you will, system, so that each cylinder bank has its own air supply, its own compression technology through turbocharging and supercharging, and there you go with all this. I mean, it's just phenomenally good. Now, I don't see, right off the bat, looking, I don't see any dipsticks, but they're, oh, wait a minute, this says oil right here. So maybe if I just pull this up. I'm not gonna do it, I'm afraid. Well, that's where you put the oil in. Is there a dipstick? I don't know if there is, I'll check. It could very well be, because more and more manufacturers are going to pure electronics instead of using an actual mechanical dipstick, which is very simple and very effective, but they're going away from them because, well, I don't know, you have to talk to them. Because of all the things that you're replacing, I don't think, I can't see how it can be cheaper. Well, I think this is what they're doing. Because the oil pan, probably in the oil supply system, already has sensors in it, measuring things like oil pressure and everything else. And they also have a system that's, if the engine starts to run low on oil, it will tell you that you need to add oil. So I think they just plug into that with an algorithm, and that's how they get your oil level. And they figure that's much better than actually adding a mechanical dipstick. Maybe they're right. I don't know, but I know that mechanical dipsticks never fail. At least not that I've seen. Except on my Kawasaki Mule. I broke that one, that was my fault. I had to order another dipstick, and that took about 4 or 5 days to get, and it was not expensive. But anyway, I'm curious about this. This has been going on for years, as I'm sure you know. And I'm still vexed by it in a way, because I just think, why not just put a dipstick on there? These structural elements here do many things. Mainly they help stiffen up the chassis overall for better handling, but they're also part of in the event you run into something, and this car does all kinds of things to help prevent that from happening, including automatic braking if you're about to slam into something. It's there to add the structural integrity to the chassis so that it can absorb crash impact better. It looks like it's very simple, it doesn't do much anything, but everything works together, once again, in cahoots, in Congress, to combine to keep the passengers very, very safe. That's one thing you get with luxury cars for the most part. And I wouldn't say that you're compromising your safety by getting something other than a luxury car, like something more affordable. But usually the state-of-the-art stuff is first seen on luxury brands like Genesis. So there you go. Very lightweight, feels like it's aluminum, the hood, and I admire that. And I admire this logo, especially when it is rendered with the black trim. Here's a shocker for you. A shocker, I say. The tire size on this GV80 Coupe is 265/40R22. These are 22-inch wheels. They just keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And as you can see, they're huge. And within, you can clearly see the equally huge brake rotor and brake disc. So these things are very well equipped to handle the weight, which is about, I believe, 5,300 pounds, I want to say. Hang on a minute. Let me check. I got my notes right here. 5,200 pounds, roughly. Plus or minus, you know, there's always a few little options and things like that that add to your weight. Then you got that cool little air scoopy thing on the side there. But anyway, the black treatment features these beautiful black wheels, which are kind of laced, almost like a spider web. They're beautiful. They really suit the car. And for some reason, I mean, I think people are getting out of hand with the larger and larger and larger and larger wheels. But I have to say, from a styling standpoint, it seems to suit the car just fine. I mean, they don't look overly huge or anything like that. It seems to fit the overall look of the car, which is interesting. Also interesting is you'll notice the back door here, your second row, and one of 2 rows that you'll get on your GV80 Coupe, is a very large, capacious rear door, which leads to the thought that there's probably quite a bit of capacity for people back there. And as we'll see in a little bit, yes, there is. It is very, very well outfitted. This would be a good car for your luxury. It's true generally with Genesis cars, but they tend to be set up so that you could use it as an executive transport. All right, here I've opened the power gate, and here we have a This is made out of a strong plastic material. It's not like a roll-in type of thing. We have a little cargo net down there for you, but it's extremely well finished, as you can see, and there is our illumination. We have like a 40-40-20 rear seat to fold up for your cargo versatility needs. Incidentally, there's a little switch right there. You can press that and it'll shoot forward and fold down for you. So our capacity here's, I think, about 29 cubic feet with the rear seat deployed as it is, and then if you fold those seats forward, you get 61 cubic feet. So even though it is a coupe, technically, there's a lot of cargo room. Now what do we have here? Whoop! Here we have all kinds of good things. There's our motility kit. Here's another battery right here. Wait a minute, what's here? What's in here? Well, I'm not going to open that because it doesn't want to be opened at the minute. But it's probably the lithium ion battery for the hybrid system, I would think. Now, do we have a spare underneath all this? I can't quite tell. I think we do. I'm not going to fold all this up because I'm not really situated. Well, I could. Let's see, should we explore together? Well, that's in the way, and that's in the way. That's in the way. I believe there is a temporary spare tire on this car. I'll double check, but I'm pretty sure there is. But anyway, you have a nice, broad, wide, deep cargo area here, and your concealment is a solid item. You could even put stuff on top there, like, you know them dogs, them little dog toys that go up and down. By the way, I apologize for all the noise. There's something violent going on across the street. I think they're clearing trees or something. But you could put one of them dogs there with the waggy head that goes up and down. Do people still have those? They used to have those. They were very popular at one time. But anyway, our power gate. A nice, decent, what I saw, a very, very ideal load floor height for you. Depending on what you're loading into it, it's kind of a good compromise between high and low. It's very convenient overall for your needs when you need to actually carry a large parcel and put it in there. So this is the most important part. This is the business aspect of this car, is that coupe line on there, and I absolutely love it. I think it looks terrific. And the sun has even graced us to come out to illustrate it. Look at this wildness here. This is kind of like a visor scoop deluxe. There's lighting up in here. I mean, man, God, this thing is, it's hard to get anything that's futuristic now because we are the future. A lot of it's really bad, but some of it's pretty good. Some of the future is good, and I would include the styling of this car right among that because this is a beautiful piece of work overall. Hello, friends. How's your mood? Would you like a Mood Curator? Of course you would. Yes. Yes. Oh, hey. How you doing out there? This is our interior. Whoops. Ha, ha. Wait, let's do this right. Hi there. There. Hi, how are you? This is our Mood Curator on our GV80 Coupe. And this is a thing that many Genesis have that is, I think, great fun, actually. And it's all set up to create a mood that puts you in the mood you want to be in. Let's have a look, shall we? So we have Vitality. Here we go. Oh, here's Delight. Look at there, we got hot air balloons. Care. What's Care? Calming, soft music. And then we have Comfort. Now what's interesting about, Comfort is nice. Relaxing atmosphere with relaxing music. I think that's what we need now. Oh, and a massage. So you could be driving along and on your way to your high-paying, high-stress executive job, And you can just turn on your comfort setting on your Mood Curator, and all will be great. And that's kind of cool. So anyway, welcome to the interior of our GV80 Coupe. And what I've done here, you see this here, this is custom. I've put tape over that because if it's not there, you get the buzzing lighting, the blinking, horrible, terrible eyes of Satan looking at you. And it's all part of the system that is monitoring what the driver's doing. To the best of my knowledge, you can't turn it off, and it will tell you every so often, if you move your head around at all, it will tell you that you need to take a break. And I really don't like that, but maybe a lot of, I mean, I understand why they do it. I really do. As you get more and more autonomous driving on the vehicle, you got to realize that the more likelihood that you might fall asleep at the wheel. That's what they're working on. I mean, let's be blunt, shall we? So in order to prevent that, the system is watching you at all times, and you can take that whatever direction you want. Personally, I'm not wild about it, but that's me. You are free to, and I don't think, now if you went to the dealer, I don't think they could turn off either, and the reason being is it's tied into your adaptive cruise control and everything else. So given that, you have a situation on your hands basically that you have to just deal with it, and with any luck at all, it won't be a problem for you. All right, so let's look at our cluster. Our cluster has the way it's set up right now. You can adjust. I will go to the menu here on the main. Oh, wait a minute. That's not right. Wait a minute. Home. There we go. And we shall go to setup. And it's setup vehicle. That's us. And then we go down. Here we go. Heads up display has been completely deactivated because I don't like that. And it's nice if you do deactivate it, it stays deactivated, which is good. Cluster. Now, we have, look at the settings we have over here. Illumination, cluster theme selection. If you link it to the drive mode, which I have it set right now. Right now, what are we on? Well, we'll go down to our drive mode switch. We'll cover this more in a minute. But press that, and there's our terrain mode. That's weird. Oh, if it's on drive, right, like it is, all you got to do to change your drive mode is turn this little knob. So let's look at here. There we go. We're on Sport, and we go red. And if we go to Sport Plus, we go even redder, and the traction control is turned off, so you can spin the tires and buy yourself some new tires very quickly. A lot of horsepower, 409 horsepower. And then we have my drive system is great because you can actually select what you want from different parameters, including if you want firmer steering and all that kind of thing. There's not a whole lot of choices on your, but like depending on what mode you're in, the suspension is adjusted accordingly. So then we have the eco. Look at the green, the beautiful, and that's to try to get a little bit better fuel economy out of the system. And so there you go. Now, if you want to, while I'm here, since I'm doing this, I can press this, and we can go to terrain mode, and you have snow, mud, and sand. So this is, to the best of my knowledge, this is the first Genesis of the G series that I remember right offhand that has that. I'm sure some of their SUVs probably do, but for something that is a coupe, after all, you have that at your exploitation to use as you want. Now the center is real interesting because if you press this knob right here, there's sunlight. You press this right here, dink, it'll say current trip. Now if you move this up and down, you would think it might change which trip meter it's showing you, but that's not what you do. You go over here to this little thummy thing here, and you go up and down on it. It's not doing it. Have I had a lot of trouble with this on this car. There, sense refueling is what I had, and there we go. Okay, I set it on sense refueling, but you can have the current trip on here also. But this thumb thing right here, which you can use for depending on what the car is actually doing, this nice little bugger down here tells you how to change that to sense refueling to the current trip. So I find this really interesting and kind of a statement of our times, is the fact that it's much more complicated to use a trip meter than it used to be. You have to use different controls on the steering in order to get around. And how do you reset that? I guess you just hold it down. I'm not resetting it right now because I'm still working on giving you trying to give you an accurate accounting of what the gas mileage of this vehicle is. But anyway, that's mainly, I mean, there's not a whole lot going on with this cluster that you can just put all kinds of wild stuff on it. It's pretty straightforward. So, in addition to that, our this is really interesting because our tachometer is on the outside of this. Well, it's not on the outside of this, actually. It's in the digital down here, and then you have your digital speed up there. But if you change your drive mode to say, let's go to comfort. Does it change that at all? Nope, it's the same. What if I go to sport, though? So what this actually is then is another speedometer, I guess. I don't know. You know, here's the thing with all this. One of the things I applaud that everybody seems to be doing is they are meshing the instrument cluster with your center screen, and that's great. And this particular vehicle has a knob, a big knob, to control the center screen. It's right down here, and I'm going to talk about this in a minute. This is your gear selector, and you use this. Link to drive mode, don't link to drive mode. You go back here, you select this, you go all the way up top. You go all the way up top. Well, you don't go all the way up top. You go to the backspace here. But this is all well and good. But the fact of the matter is, it seems like we're getting to the point where there are more operations required to do very simple things than there used to be. You do have, hey, wait a minute. I was enjoying that. Well, in addition, I should show this also. In addition to your Mood Curator, you have your Sounds of Nature. And have they got a new one? Have they got a new Summer Night, Autumn Sentiments, Warmth and Winter? No, it's the same ones. I love these too. Harbingers of Spring, there we go. I actually like that. This is all onboard stuff. This comes with the car. It's not something different. And I don't think it needs any kind of connection to the internets in order to function. I think it's an onboard system, but I don't have time to check that out. But the fact of the matter that it's there, I mean, you may laugh, because you have all these audio options, including Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, so you can run your own stuff right off your phone, using Bluetooth, by the way. Or you can use XM satellite, which it's equipped to take. So you got all these different things you can do, plus AM and FM, of course. But having these other things is kind of nice. I kind of like it. What else do we have on our steering? Well, here's our cruise area. This turns on and off our cruise control. Here's your following distance. Here is the lane tracing that keeps the car in the middle of the lane. And I do have activated, this does have the ability to change lanes simply using the turn signal. If the car, and this is when you're on like a four-lane multi-divided highway. It can actually change lanes, change the car over to the next lane, accelerate past something, and then you hit the turn signal to go back in that lane, and it'll do it all by itself. I still don't know why that's necessary, but maybe it isn't necessary. It's a feature. It's not a bug. So, but it's kind of like they're weaning you into the concept of completely autonomous driving, and I think we're a ways away from that because there's a lot of problems with autonomous driving that people end up encountering all the time, and it's like another tool in the toolbox, folks. You got to learn how to use it, and in certain circumstances, like if you're eating a cheeseburger, which I am constantly when I'm driving, it can help out a little bit. It can help maintain your lane discipline. So down here, anyway, we covered all this. Yes, we have. This is our up and down here for our current trip and sensory. What the hell? Now it's doing it over here. It wasn't doing that before. Sense refueling, current trip. Well, I give up figuring that out because this told me earlier that it was. I'll put it this way: you'll be able to figure this out. If you want to find your refueling, you'll be able to find it. But this is a display that will tell you what your automated system is doing, and your adaptive cruise control. And this is our map. If you're using the map, and this also works if you're using, let's say, for example, Apple CarPlay, and you're using a navigational app on it, like, oh, I don't know, Waze. It will display that map inside there in addition to over here. So you got options what you want to look at while you're navigating, which is great. Overall, I've used that quite a bit, and I find it works very, very well. And the onboard mapping system here, whee, there it is, because we're in the middle of nowhere. But you can do this and make it go way up high. I don't think. Look there. United States, Mexico, and here we come down into Connecticut. You see? Isn't that nice? Now, what we don't seem to have is a 3D mode that I've been able to locate, which is very strange to me. But you may have it. I don't know. Anyway, over on the right side, this star is a switch that a button rather, that you can select what you want there. There are a bunch of different choices you can do. This is so you can talk to the car and you can give voice commands to the car. This is that weird black button that does weird things at different times. Right now it's kind of wired into the audio system. Here's your volume, but you also have knobs. You have a tuning knob and a volume knob, just like the good old days. And then you have access to your telephone, and this is going back and forth. Some of your favorites on, for example, if you're listening to XM satellite radio. So, you got all that? All right. I would say it's a moderate level of complexity for modern steering wheels, but once you learn it, this is definitely the kind of car that once you own it, in time you'll learn its ways and you'll be fine. It's not really counterintuitive or anything like that. It's just involved. You gotta get used to all this stuff. Now, if we move over, you've seen our center screen. I'll put the menu back up there. Oh, excuse me. How about home? That's better. There we go. We have, when we go down from that, like I said, we have your radio, map, media, a nice button surface that you could press. It's not an actual button. It's a button surface to access during functions of the car that are very convenient to be able to function, to access quickly, such as setup. Lower, we have your massive climate control system, which involves both heating and cooling for your front seats, Napa leather, and this will spray you with a aroma of sorts. Here's your heated steering, and like I said, heated and ventilated, and your defroster settings and all that good stuff. Pretty straightforward. And again, if there's anything that seems to be getting standardized, it's the heating, ventilation, and air conditioning systems seem to be getting more towards standardization than things like adaptive cruise control. But, go figure, as they say. Now, down here, we have our QI/USB center. You have to have two USB-C ports right there. Here's where you place your smartphone for your charging. Wireless charging, if your smartphone is able to do that, or if your dumb phone is able to. I don't know do we still have dumb phones? I don't know. I'm sure there's somebody out listening to me right now who has a dumb phone. And I don't mean that in terms of a derogatory thing to your phone. Tell your phone I don't mean any insult by that. It's just compared to the extensive stuff they've done to the new phones. It's dumb. Sorry. Anyway. Here's our back, home, and menu things, and here is our navigation. Wee. And we go up, we go down. Dallas, Texas. Hollywood. I ain't asking for... Oh, anyway. Now, here's the problem I have. I have a tale to tell you. As we go south, we go to this is our gear selector. Reverse, neutral, and drive. And then we have park right here. Now, as you can see, I've complained about this on every Genesis I've had that has it, I think. You have these two situations right here where the diameter is almost the same. This is knurled, and this is not as knurled. It's a different kind of knurling. But if you're trying to navigate this, and you may be semi-distracted by, I don't know, driving and looking where you're going and looking for a particular intersection, parking place, whatever. It's real easy. And I don't, you know, I've had people, I've mentioned this before, and I've had people call, I've never had a problem with it. I've had 6 of those Genesis cars, and every one of them's had it, and I've never had a problem. Well, okay. How did you get 6? Anyway, the other day, I was trying to navigate this screen right up here, like this way, and instead my hand fell here, and I put the car from drive into neutral. And while I was driving, and the car went into neutral. That's not good, and it shouldn't happen. It won't do anything that'll damage the car. In other words, if I went over to reverse, it wouldn't go into reverse, I don't think. I'm not about to test that. But the thing I have to say about that is, I really wish, this is part of the Hyundai family, and Hyundais have developed a new paddle that you twist. It's right over here. It's like a little paddle that comes right out of here, and you just twist it in order to put it into gear. And it doesn't in any way resemble any other control in the car. It's completely independent, and there's no way you're going to hit that and do something to it by accident. This, on the other hand, you can. So I'd just like to say to Genesis, I would consider it, guys, because I know you can say, well, it's just unusually stupid people like you, Boots. You're the person that has a problem with this. That could be very true. However, I'm willing to bet I am not the only person that that's happened to. And one of these days, somebody's going to get really upset about it because they put it into neutral and freaked out and slammed on the brakes and somebody rear-ended them, because it's just not good. I think you should go with some kind of a different shifting arrangement. Just make sure these are really different. Make this into a little stalk or something. There's so many different ways that people are controlling transmissions nowadays. Anyway, okay, enough said. Here's our cup holders, which have a very nice little LED illumination area. Over here, here's our cameras. Look at these cameras. This is like, we are talking amazingly, let's go this. Yeah, here we go, 360. Amazingly good camera system. I don't know how they do these things. There's a lot of amazing algorithms involved with doing this. But here is a 360 view of the car, so you can see very carefully what's around you. Even, look at this. Look at this here. Even these sticks down here that I could run over. Even the exhaust. See, because it's a very cold day, and there's white exhaust coming out of the back, because it's the water is, the moisture inside the exhaust is condensing. Look at all that. Isn't that something? It's amazing. That's how accurate this is. It's wicked sharp. And you have, if you look over here, you have all these different settings. If I want to go just to the side, there's that side. If I want to go to this one, that's directly behind us. And the 360 that I was just on. Now this one, incidentally, is out front, which could come in very handy if you're navigating, so let's say like a mountain trail or something. Incidentally, this car being all-wheel drive and having a good amount of ground clearance, you could probably take this thing a few places without too much trouble. It doesn't have a suspension that is air supplemented that raises and lowers, but it does have a suspension that is electronically altered depending on the conditions, which is very, very valuable. And you do have the predictive system on it, I believe, on this car, where one of the front cameras is always looking at the road, and if it sees a big old pothole, it will instantaneously stiffen up the suspension, i.e. the shock absorbers, so that it's ready to hit it without bottoming out or anything. I mean, it's really quite an advanced bit of engineering, and it seems to work quite well to me. And over time, one of the things I love about it is over time, Genesis is just going to get it better and better and better. It'll respond faster. It'll be able to do more. And can you turn that off? I don't know, to be honest with you. I really don't know. What else do we have over here? We have our parking assist. This is where I was adjusting our drive mode and our terrain mode right here. It's on drive now. You turn it, it'll adjust that. I'm going to put this back on Eco. There we go. And you punch it, and then we got terrain. So, wonderful stuff. You can turn off the engine auto stop-start system. Now, this is a mild hybrid vehicle. It has a battery. And I believe the battery, one of the things the battery does, to the best of my knowledge, I don't think this has a conventional starter motor. I think part of the mild hybrid system is to start the engine when you're going from stop-start. And it does it faster and smoother than a conventional starter would. So I think that's what's going on with our hybrid system. Okay, moving on. I think we've covered all this. What's in here? You press this. And the bomb bay door is open, Hal. And here we have, it's actually very deep in there if you pull this little tray out, which is, this stuff is, everything's like reeks of quality, which you'd expect at a car that costs nearly $100,000. It looks like they've put the money into the car. Believe me, it has that it has that luxury car feeling. Right down the headliner, it's got one of these great alpaca, or it's not alpaca, it's something else. Headliner that it's beautiful, actually. And you have your panorama, of course. Now, what happens if I do this? If I go, can I open this just a little bit more? It opens. I don't understand why it does that. Now, what if I do that? No, it's really interesting. Huh. Very, very interesting how that works. But that is our panorama roof. And it's darkly tinted, as you can see. I'm going to go back a little bit more. There we go. As you can see, there's our phone lines. Soon they will be obsolete too. Yeah, that's actually true. We're cutting cables left, right, and center at an alarming rate. Primarily because we hate the company. They charge way too much. Incidentally, our beautiful Napa ensconced passenger seat here, you can move that thing up and down right here with this thing. Look there, moving by itself, moving back by itself. Then you can do this. Woo, you can tilt it up and down to adjust it if you need to adjust it. If your dog is unhappy and your dog is sitting there, we do not recommend your dog ride in the front of the car. Yeah, I know. She should be tied down with a leash or in a dog hauler or something. That's absolutely true, but you're talking to the wrong people. We're country people. The dog rides up with us. So what else? What else? As you can probably tell, there's a broad variety of materials they use inside this thing, and it is very, very luxurious. It's also very quiet at speed. You expect a certain amount of quality and refinement in a car in this price range, and you get it. With every Genesis I've driven has been very, very high in that regard. They do a great job of putting these things together, and I imagine, I have never dealt personally with a Genesis dealer and a Genesis service department, but I would imagine they take really good care of you, most like if you go to a Lexus or a Mercedes place, provided the people working there aren't jerks. That can happen anywhere, but provided that they're generally nice people, the service treatment is very, very good. Expensive? Probably, but they do take real good care of you. Incidentally, our sound system is a Bang & Olufsen, which sounds great. All right, let's check out our back, shall we? Now, it's a good sized rear door, and it doesn't quite open 90 degrees, but it's very easy for your elders to access. There we go. And one of the neat things about this, we have a very mild tunnel, which you can barely see there, sorry about this. Man, it's dark back here. Let's turn on some lights. Let's turn on our map lights, supplemental lighting. Like that's gonna do any good. We have a very mild tunnel here. It's almost completely flat, but what's really nice about these rear seats is they slide forward and backwards electronically. You got little motors in here that growl, and then you have a little bit of recline you can use back here. So your passenger, your two primary passengers, you can get 3 people back here very easily, but your 2 primary passengers have a lot of adjustments to make themselves very, very comfortable. So I think that's kind of outstanding. Overall, you see your map lights? They're very good map lights. And let's see how far our window goes down here. Ooh, interesting. This is your limitation at about 91%, and then down here it's 100% down. So, you know, plenty of ventilation. You have a nice manual window shade right there. Now, I don't know, I thought this thing had a rear window shade, but it does not. That may have something to do with the fact that it's a hatch. So it's a coupe with a hatch. So it's kind of like a wagon or a cagon. That's what they could call it if they wanted to. Anyway, what we have here is a really comprehensive climate control system for your rear seats, including, it's not that unusual to have heated seats, but to have heated seats and and ventilated. Look at there. You got seat ventilation as well as heating. Isn't that great? You have an auto system. There we go. I just put an auto 76. I'll lower her down to 72 here. See, you have quite a bit of control in this rear area, which is nice. You also have USB-C, 2 of them, 1 for each passenger. And then you also have, this is an AC port right there with 115 volt and 150 watt. 150 watt is pretty much geared for charging your device with a conventional, I don't know. 150 watts is not a hell of a lot, but I don't know what you know, I don't think you're going to have like a table saw back here. So maybe you do. You can. I'm not saying you can't do that. You can, but it won't run very long, or if at all. If it's only 150 watt capability. Here is our armrest with cup holders. And do we have 60-40 seats? Yeah, we do. And how do I do that? How do I open these seat backs down? I haven't done that yet. I have not examined that. I wonder if you can fold it all the way down that way. No, I don't think so. Well, the best of my knowledge, shall we get out and have a look? Have you seen everything you need to see here? It's very roomy. Good leg room, good foot room, and good head room. And it's very, very comfortable. There's a little bit of lumbar support in these seats, by the way, that's great. It's not adjustable, but it is very nice. For a long trip, I think you'll have zero problem. All right, now then, there we go. Look at this. Power, of course. And you lower this down, and then you have this flat load floor. Looky there. How about that? And then you just hit it once, actually, and it goes back. So there we are. So this is what we have. Whee! In our excellent, I'm starting to get really comfortable back here. I may have to stay. There's actually very good lateral support back here. I'd say equal to, or maybe even almost better than the front seats. Huh? How about that? Very nice side bolsters. So that's it, folks. This is our interior of our 2026 Genesis G80 Coupe that has your supercharger, and it has your mild hybrid electric vehicle battery system. It's got everything you want. 409 horsepower. Let's take it out on the road, shall we? Let's let those ponies run. All right, off we go into these wild blues of the yonders. Here we go. All right. Hear that little V6 rumble. I do like the V6 rumble. And you really can't tell with electronic supercharging. You really can't tell when it's activated. Well, listen together. I haven't found it overly noticeable though, because nothing. I keep mentioning this whenever I talk about supercharging, but I can't help it. Years ago, I was reviewing a Range Rover, back when they looked like Range Rovers and not look like squash bugs like they do now. And it had a little V8 engine in it. I believe Ford was the manufacturer. Ford actually owned Range Rover for a short period of time. and took a lot of stuff from them, including stylish stuff and everything else. They got the rights to all kinds of things. But anyway, that little V8 engine was supercharged in the old school way. It had a belt. It was a belt-driven supercharger, and that thing, first of all, put out a hell of a lot of power. But the sound was amazing when you got on the supercharger, and it was much like Mad Max. And I encourage you to watch the first two, Mad Max and Mad Max 2, the Road Warrior, to really feast in the enjoyment of the supercharger. And his was an on and off thing. It actually, it had on the shifter, it had a red button thing that he would pull, which is identical to a twin selector for a twin-speed rear axle on bigger trucks that I used to drive. Whee! Now you can really feel this thing. This thing is high off the ground, and you can feel it. It's not terribly top-heavy, but you can definitely tell, whee, that the thing is taller and a little more top-heavier than, say, a let's just say like a G90 sedan, or what's the other G80 I just reviewed. Boy, nice cars. But you can feel it. This is a bigger vehicle, but it's not technically an SUV. It is a coupe. The GV80 Coupe is still an SUV, but I like to say it's not, because it's a coupe. But it does have good ground clearance, and a lot of that is, some of that is these 22-inch wheels on this thing. This also has a very electronically controlled suspension. I'm on the Eco setting overall, but it's electronically controlled, and his road preview or something like that. I can't remember right off the hand. I can't reach down and get my notes right now. But it looks down the road, and it is feeding into an algorithm. And when the camera sees something ahead of it that thinks it might be a problem, or not a problem necessarily, but just a good reason to change the calibration of the suspension a little bit, it just does it. It's doing this without your knowledge, but it is always looking ahead. There's that great line from, I believe it's The Hobbit, and they were talking to Gandalf, and he said, "How did you know how to find us, where we would be?" And he said, I'm paraphrasing, of course, "Looking ahead." And they said, "But how did you know that we were all going to be here?" And he said, "Looking behind," or something like that. But anyway, Gandalf says looking ahead and looking behind. Well, that's what this vehicle does. It doesn't spin, and unless you're going in reverse, it's not looking behind you. The road prediction system is looking ahead. So anyway, you have all these things that you can enjoy in this vehicle. Now, I'm gonna go straight, and then I'm gonna take a left. And when I do that, I'm hoping I will have a stretch that I regularly can accelerate briskly on. And we'll see together if we can actually hear the supercharger. There's a couple of opportunities we'll have on this particular little video part that I will be able to do that. And you will be able to hear whether or not you can hear the supercharger. But another vehicles that really like their superchargers back in the day, turbocharging and supercharging, was Volvo. I don't think they're doing much supercharging anymore. I think they're using hybrid technology instead. Here we go. You ready? Let's get on it. See, I don't think you can necessarily hear what you might consider to be the supercharger kicking in. But with 409 horsepower afforded by the supercharger and the turbochargers, it does have a real nice exhaust. And it's nice. One of the great things about I keep talking now that Volvo is using turbocharging and hybrid technology, and this does have a mild hybrid technology involved also, but I think the main reason that you have the Supercharger is to fill in the gaps at the very low level of acceleration where the turbochargers take a little bit of time. Nothing like they used to. They've done all kinds of things to the turbocharger units themselves, the vanes and the wheel and all this stuff, excuse me, to make sure that they can come up to speed really quickly. And on this car, you have that, but you also have this Supercharger technology that I believe is instrumental in making. I don't know if you could tell when I did that dramatic acceleration just now, but there's no low-end gaps, and it doesn't really take time for it to come up to speed. You have that horsepower available very, very quickly, which is nice. Especially since this is a performance luxury vehicle. Whether or not it's an SUV or a coupe SUV, one thing it is for absolute certainty is it is a luxury performance vehicle. No question about that one. So we're going to see if we get this chance on this hill to have a bit of fun with this. Well, yeah, here we go. Very nice, huh? Very easily accelerated. Now for our first time on this vehicle, we're activating our cruise control. And we're gonna lower her down just a little bit here. There we go, there we go, there we go. We want to get down to about, let's go about 65. There we go. Very good overall. Very, very nice overall performance. And I want to get by this guy before we go into the situation where the lanes become smaller. There we go. He is hauling a load behind his pickup truck, and so we shall give him deference as he is hauling. He's actually using his pickup truck to pull something, so that gives him a lot of points right there. All right, let's see. What do we got up here? Oh, hazards aplenty. Well, I'm going to take care of this. What do we got here? We have a slow moving construction vehicle. Is he going to be in my way? What is he doing? Why is he doing that? All right, well, we'll turn off our cruise control, go back to manual control, and we'll see what this guy's doing. And I may need to, is there a, oh man, he's going right where I need to go. Well, we'll see, won't we? God, what brand is that? I can't make out that logo on that vehicle. Ah, good, thank you. So, shall we? I can't resist. I can't resist my supercharging. Just can't resist. And the car handles very, very nicely, by the way. Even though there is a little bit of a top-heavy feel to it, the suspension does a great job at controlling the weight and the bulk. It's a big vehicle. Now, what did I tell you guys? I can't read it. It's down there. I can't reach it. I think, what did I say? 5,200 pounds? I believe that's correct. Well, welcome if you will, to the underside of our 2026 Genesis GV80 Coupe. And very interesting. Look at all this ground clearance. It's incredible. We got like tons of ground clearance from here all the way down there. It's amazing. And here we have what appears to be some forged aluminum lower A-arms of all these control arms. There's a top control arm there. Can you see that? Can you see that up in there? And then there's our lower control arms here. And then we have a lateral link that's kind of like a front lateral link. And here's our driving shaft. Wait, no, sorry. That's your driving shaft right there. Because it's a robust fella that goes into this robust rear differential, because 409 horsepower is a lot of, you gotta be quite stout in order to take all that horsepower. But we have a subframe here that is attached to our unibody. And then we have, of course, our coil spring is up in here with no air spring or anything else. And here's our shock absorber right there. If you can plainly see that, that is where we have our electronics that are regulating the valving of the shock absorbers so that it can stiffen up or loosen up, whatever, depending on your driving setting and that sort of thing, plus what else, other things that the control system is telling the suspension to do. So, and here's our lateral links right here. Right, this is what I was thinking was a drive shaft initially. But anyway, look at all this ground clearance. This has about 8 inches. And up front here, you'll see we have a pretty good amount of, it's not skid plates, it's that soft, I don't know what, there is a name for this material that they're putting on cars on the underside that I believe are primarily there to streamline the undercarriage, especially with vehicles that have higher ground clearance, because that helps with your aerodynamics and helps with your fuel economy. So, and that's good, and that's one of the reasons that you'll see all electric cars have a nice smooth bottom, because everything is done to maximize efficiency for your battery life. So, now what's this here? Well, this has got to be, this looks like rear wheel steering, doesn't it? It is not. Well, wait a minute, there's a ball joint there though. I didn't see anything in these that talked about rear wheel steering. Now, there's no way this thing has rear wheel steering, because it actually has a pretty wide turning radius. That's one of the things I discovered about it that's less than the greatest thing ever, is the fact that it does have a fairly broad turning radius. But this goes into here and this goes in. No, there's no drive system or anything that would imply. But the reason I even consider it is because Genesis likes to put rear wheel steering on a lot of their cars. And it can really help in a lot of circumstances, with especially with tight parking and stuff like that. It can come in handy, but it also aids stability during lane changes. So there's a lot of advantages to it. Look at this. We got our little blue marks on here. Can you see those? That's somebody inspected these, torqued them, and then marked that it was torqued, you see. That was probably done at the factory. And what else? I'm really curious about a couple of things here. What's really interesting about these new modern suspension, multi-link rear suspensions, is they're spread out quite a bit, in that the links like run from here all the way to here. This front link runs up here all the way over to here. In other words, it's not like a real tight, compact thing right in this area. And this increase in leverage does a lot of good things for the function of the suspension. And overall, you get great stability and great ride quality, all just through basic design elements. I mean, yes, there's a ludicrous amount of electronics involved these days with suspension damping and control and things like that, but also just the basic geometry that they use in these suspensions really makes for a nice, stable, responsive ride. If you can see over here, look at how broad this lower A-arm is here, lower link. That's pretty amazing when you look at it. And anyway, like I said, a fairly stout subframe right here. Where's your fuel tank? I believe that's it over here. I think it's up in there. But what's over here? That looks like, I don't know. I don't know. But anyway, a very, very interesting undercarriage, and like I said, lots of ground clearance. And we have a conventional coil spring rear suspension in that it's not air suspension, so that ground clearance remains exactly the same, so you always have that, which I quite like, considering this is considered to be sort of an SUV, even though it's called a coupe, but it does have that ground clearance and all-wheel drive so that you can get your way through some semi-unimproved roads and snow. Oh, snow should be no problem for this vehicle at all.
Well, Genesis gives you a choice between the GV80 SUV or the GV80 Coupe. This was the Coupe, which I much prefer because it has that beautiful backside to it. Our 3.5T E-SC MHEV, which is mild hybrid electric vehicle, in the Black Edition has a base price of $89,400, and with all the goodies on it, our sticker came to $91,545. So this is a real interesting car. I got about 20 miles per gallon overall, and yet it has all that power thanks to the electric supercharger system. So overall, very nice luxury car, and it also has a good deal of utility about it, and it also has all-wheel drive. So what do you want? Maybe you'll want one of these. I think you should drive one if you do. Take care. See you soon.
Whatever the tube tells you, you dress like the tube, you eat like the tube, you raise your children like the tube, you even think like the tube. This is mass madness, you maniacs. In God's name, you people are the real thing. We are the illusion.